Cool. You guys can hear me in my backyard, but I wanted to take a second and then talk about the moment that I felt like I woke up. Everyone tells you success means freedom, but the day that I realized I wasn't free, that dude, that hit me harder than any milestone. I think that was probably my wake up call, and I want to take a second and then talk about some of the main points that got me to wake up. You work day in and day out, so it's going to be very fuzzy and muddy for you to understand that and know when that kicks in. So I wanted to take a second and talk about that realization moment, and then some of the emotions that I felt in that time, and then break down some of those main points so that way you can what you're feeling, and then also feel that you're not alone as well too. And then I'll talk about what I did to get me out of that. Let's jump right into it. So when I realized that I had hit the dollar milestone that I wanted to always hit, my immediate feeling was euphoria. I felt like I hit the jackpot. I felt like I hit a lottery, and it didn't feel like it was real. That's the only way that I can explain it. Imposter syndrome hit real hard, and then I felt like I was way up here. I was just like, oh, I made it. This felt so good. But as the days go on, I was able to buy any car that I wanted. I went out and bought a Porsche 911, which is a great car, 997, all black, probably the best car that I've owned. I had to get rid of it, of course, after I realized that. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But the first thing I did was buy the nice car that I wanted, and then buy my parents something that they wanted as well too. I bought my mom some moon gemstone. We went on a cruise and I bought her some space diamond. It's crazy. That cost a grip. And then she was my girlfriend at the time, but I bought my wife now purses, all the stuff that she wanted. And then I bought my dad a truck. I wanted to provide all of this to the people around me, and then myself too, giving myself whatever I wanted. But as the time goes by, once you're giving them what you thought that was something that they wanted, I found myself stuck. I felt, what's next? How can I get more? And then once you hit that dollar milestone, you're just like, you hit that. You buy all the luxury stuff that you've always wanted. You're trying to understand what's next. And then I felt very alone. At the time, I didn't have my two puppies. I'm so grateful for them, because I think one of the things that I was missing was a sense of purpose and value. And so I was really alone. My wife went to go work about 40 minutes away, and then she had to go into the office, and I worked from home. And so I was alone by myself in my house, and I didn't have anyone else, right? And then I did break down my time, so I was able to do that and then actually get some of my time back. But it still wasn't enough, right? I was just like, oh, what am I gonna do? So I threw myself back into that work and then that grind mode. And so by the time that I was done working, and then my wife came back home from her work, I couldn't continue to keep on going through that motion and then saying, oh, I'm just gonna continue working and then try and invest, learn new skills. But I always just found myself focusing on one thing, and then that just propelled me in that career path. But I didn't have that sense of purpose, and so I went to counseling. I got some counseling done, and then I adopted a husky. And then I think, although it was very frustrating because he had a lot of issues, he had ticks, and then he has really bad allergies. And so we live in the desert. And I was like, I didn't know that he had all those issues, and so I had to learn about it. Didn't know what it took to take care of a husky, not just any normal dog, but a husky. So I had to learn all of that. But it was very fulfilling. It gave me that sense of purpose, even though this little thing looked to me for comfort. And then I think that drove me to want to do better and then spend more time with him. His name's Dutch, and he's a full Siberian Husky, and I think that's what helped me a lot. I got out of that funk that way, and then that's when it clicked that I was working so much, and then he was throwing his little ball around. It was so cute. He was just tossing his ball around, asking me to play with him. And then he was already potty trained, such a sweet dog, and he's still here too. Maybe I'll show you guys later. But he got me out of that funk, and then I was able to actually take my time back and then try and understand, hey, I need to be there for him, and then take him to the vet, take care of him, make sure that I give him the best care that I can, because we adopted him at 11 months, and so he's only got maybe 13 years on this world. So I wanted to give him everything. So that was the wake up call. And then when I started realizing that, in that time, I just felt like alone before I got him, and then before I went to counseling, and then I was really confused, and then it's just all sorts of different emotions. It was weird. But I think admitting it helped me get beyond it, and then also helped me break down my time more, value myself and then my time outside of all the luxury, nice things that you can have. And so that's something that I wasn't expecting at all from that type of making it, is what you say it. And so that's how I felt with my emotions. And then it didn't happen all overnight. It was just progressive. And then even when I got out of it, right, it didn't happen overnight. It was just very progressive. And then during that time, I was still struggling through my own demons. And so I was trying to get out of that feeling. It took some massive mistakes, but that's how I landed up in jail for the second time. I wasn't in that right mindset, and then maybe I'll cut that out. I don't want people to know too much. Redo. So one of the things that I had to do was set specific goals for myself, making sure that, okay, so what I did next was, it didn't happen overnight. It was just progressive. And then I noticed a shift. I noticed that I started wanting to take care of myself, my puppy more, and then setting boundaries for myself, and then even for friends, right? And even for especially work, making sure that I can set those boundaries. And then that's the moment when I was just, hey, maybe I should go start my own consulting gig and go out there and learn how to start my own business in the field that I'm in. And so that's what I did. I started a medical billing, and then turned into more of a data and business intelligence type of consulting agency, and then help the community that way. And then ultimately, I think that's what got me to understand, hey, it's not about the income that you're making, but more so really question, well, what are you going to do? What's next after you hit that milestone and that goal? And I think it's driven by purpose. Ultimately, that's what it is. What type of value and what do you want to imprint into this world? And then that's how you really build the freedom. And then to tailor all of that with your investments, and then making those risks, right? I'm a little bit more risky, but over time I've been very calculated. And then because I've made 180 changes, I left a comfortable role and position where I was making over 170K and straight to zero. And then I thought I had everything that I needed, but I was just like, hey, that's not the case. I thought that it was the job. I thought the job was one of the reasons. And then I thought, oh, maybe I just need to go start something different. No, that wasn't the case. The case was, it's internal. It was just like, what do you want to do? And then how do you want to learn? How are you going to take some of these life lessons and then apply it? So that's what I did next. Everyone's still going to go through these roller coasters, but each time that you go through the waves and then the turns and then the downfalls, if the only time that you're going to fail is when you completely stop. And it's even then, to me, you truly fail if you didn't take any lessons from your failure. That's the truth of it. And so it all starts with that mindset, and that's just a piece of my story that I wanted to get out there. So if you take one thing, take that, go learn, and then make sure that you actually commit. And then when you're falling and when you're failing, notice that and then expose it, speak about it. Thank you guys. Catch you later. Bye.